How's it going, folks? Welcome back to another Ranger Talk video. And today I have a very, very special guest, a fellow content creator. I've not featured a content creator on here before, so I'm super duper excited. And it's none other than the mighty, the heavy metal vegan. What's going on, man? Thanks so much for
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. It's way too much, but I appreciate it.
Never too much.
No, it's good. Everything's good. It's a rainy day here in Florida, so this is perfect. I went out this morning and got some vegan groceries and stuff like that, but it was too wet. So
Yeah.
this is the perfect day for it.
Yeah, it's rainy here too in South Carolina. So there's kind of like a whole system, I think, kind of covering the southeast of the United States.
Yeah.
The day that we're filming this here for all you folks elsewhere. But yeah.
At least we don't have snow, though. You know.
True. Yeah. No snow.
Like where I'm from Minnesota, so they have all the snow still up there.
Still.
They have like 8 feet of snow on the ground still.
Jeez. We get a little bit of snow in South Carolina, but not too much. But this whole season, this whole winter, we didn't get a single flake. It was a very, very odd winter.
There'll be like a dusting once in 7 years I've been here, it'll dust like the top of cars or something.
Gotcha.
In the morning. Everyone goes out and looks at it and go, ooh, snow.
Try to make little snowballs out of it.
That's how it starts. And then there's, crashing and, starting your car in the morning at
yeah, man.
15 minutes before you leave work, like, that's all right.
Oh, that's wild stuff. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here. I really appreciate it. And first and foremost, I gotta say, like, your t-shirts that you always wear are so awesome, man. I mean, that right there, ghost face, it's so sick.
Vegan Vampire. That's his he's a good buddy of mine. He lives actually in Florida. He's south. He's even south of Orlando, so he's down there. Yeah, so he's down there, but he's got his own clothing company, and yeah, he always sends me stuff, and he's awesome, dude. His stuff is great. Yeah,
that's so cool. Yeah, actually, I've lived in South Carolina now for about 5 years, but I'm actually from I was actually born in Orlando, but then when I was like 3, we moved down to Fort Lauderdale. So that's way down there.
I want to say like Pompano Beach or
yeah.
I think that's where he's at. I can't remember now.
Awesome.
But yeah, he's a good dude.
No, it's great stuff. But so I guess first and foremost, when did you really like get into metal? Have you always just been into metal, or when did you get into metal? And when did you decide that, hey, I want to make a channel about metal and reacting and whatnot?
I got into metal like a lot of people did, like Metallica, right? So I was in junior high. That's kind of when I first started listening to metal. Like I heard And Justice for All. A buddy of mine at school played And Justice for All, and I was like, what is this? What is going on?
Yeah.
And it was right before the Black album came out. So it was like right in that time period. And so I was introduced to And Justice, and then the Black album, and then the floodgates opened.
Yeah.
But during that time, I was kind of like finding new things. So it was Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to some Guns N' Roses too, Judas Priest. And then a little while later, I got into Pantera, which led to the heavier stuff, which I think that's true for, a lot of people.
Yeah.
But Metallica.
That's always
they always hold a special place in my heart. Like people talk shit about Metallica some days now, these days, and I'm like, all right, well, they really brought metal to people who never would listen to metal.
Right.
I mean,
they kind of cross
so many bands
that space from like what I guess folks would consider like metal. That's I don't want to listen to that, but they made it a little bit more mainstream in a sense, more accessible, I guess, maybe.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, just think about the Black album, and then think about after that, all the bands that they brought and all of the places they went and took these other bands with them. Like they kept metal alive when grunge came in And I'm personally not a fan of grunge. Like people like Nirvana and stuff, like more power to you. I hate Nirvana. Dude, I don't like Nirvana. I just don't, because during that time there was a radio station up in Minnesota, and they went from like, it's back now, it's called 93X. It's in Minneapolis. And they took that off the air and they made it into 93.7 The Edge. And they started playing Nirvana, and they took off all my metal, and I was like, what? So I was, so Nirvana,
yeah,
I can't. The only band from that era that I think holds up some is Alice in Chains.
Okay.
I think they're, out of the best of the bunch, but Nirvana, I can't.
Yeah, fair enough. How about that?
I respect everyone's
type stuff, like Nine Inch Nails and stuff like that.
Yeah, but so it's like they kept, so back to Metallica as we go off on rabbit trails.
Yeah.
But they kept metal alive through that whole time. And you have to understand why Nirvana was like the biggest thing ever. Metallica was selling out stadiums.
Right.
Still.
Yeah.
And they had everyone with them. They had Slayer or Anthrax or whoever. Like, they kept the whole genre of like metal alive. Yeah. So they hold a special place for me for sure. But that was the origin of metal for me. Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Yeah, fair enough. Definitely a legendary band, and a bunch of the other bands you mentioned, a bunch of legends that really helped pave the way, like you said, for a lot of other bands, and maybe even, who knows, bands today that are going. Metal in general would probably not even necessarily be where it's at, without, some of these bands like them. But so you have a YouTube channel, right, where you do reaction videos, and I know we were speaking a little bit before, but you've been doing this for longer than your current YouTube channel would make it seem, right?
Yeah.
So when did you actually start doing reaction videos, and what made you decide to do that?
I don't know what made me decide to do it. I don't know. No, I'm just like, I can do this, I think, because I've seen other people do it. But yeah. I mean, I think I had my first channel, like, I used to talk about movies like way back in the day. I would have said that was like 2012 or 13.
Oh, okay.
A long time.
Movie channel?
Yeah, it was like a movie channel. I had like I reviewed like all the Rockies, and I was kind of Stallone driven.
Okay.
But the music thing, that was a few years ago now, maybe 5 years ago or so. I had another channel, and it was called Matt's World. Heavy Metal Vegan is Matt, same. So people know Matt. Yeah. But it was called Matt's World, and it was all just basically music. And then when I started getting into the vegan thing, then I started doing food reactions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of crossed over. And then copyright on YouTube, as you know, is they can be vicious sometimes. And so stuff started getting blocked and started getting taken down. I just got super frustrated with it. And then I deleted the whole thing in a fit of anger and rage. And so I was like, well, I don't know why I did that, but so I just.
Is that what happened to your wall behind you? The YouTube censor folks? Is that the leftover from them? Yeah.
So yeah. There's some people that have followed me. There's a guy named MJ Nation that's on my he's been following me since the very beginning. So I always have interact with him and stuff like that. But starting a new channel is tough, because it's just like, well, I had this many, and then I don't have this, and then you upload it, like, oh, it's got 35 views. Awesome. Like, that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. But it's kind of cool, and I just kind of do it for fun anyway. It's a hobby. It's not a job.
Yeah.
So at one point, though, like the last channel, I was doing requests like via PayPal. You could do whatever. Oh, yeah. So it was some money coming into it, but it was never full time. Yeah. So this is just more for fun, and I need to do more on it to grow it. But
yeah, it's more of just kind of like a passion project or a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like doing it. It's just I'm lazy. And Instagram's easier.
It definitely takes time, and like you said, it can be frustrating, especially when you get hit with that copyright, because you spend so much time doing your reaction and then editing and you don't know it's going to be copyright until it's all the way up there. You've done all the work, and then boom, your video can't be viewed, and it's like,
It's blocked worldwide. I'm like, really? Like, I
yes.
don't know.
Or I've had
But
some where
some
it's like,
bands
oh,
will allow
some
it.
people in some territories can't view your video, and I'll look at all the territories. It's like all of them except for a
Yeah,
couple I've never heard of before. Like,
yeah.
there's like 2 countries, God knows where, that can hear it.
Instagram
But
is the
other
same.
than that,
Instagram's the same way. If I put a video on there, it'll be like, well, it's viewable, but people in Russia and Croatia and some other. I'm like, all right, I don't think that's fine. I'll leave it up. Like, I don't know. I
right?
feel like the most of the people aren't from there that are on my channel, but if it's like 35, then I'm like, well, we'll just take it down then.
Yeah,
So, but you can't monetize anything that's copyrighted either.
right. Yeah,
So that's another thing. It's like, well, so anything that has a label attached to it, a record label or an entity that wants that money, once it's copyrighted, they might allow you to use it, but the revenue goes to them.
yeah. That's a very good point that a lot of folks may not understand is, all of the reaction channels that do music.
Yeah.
And then even like some video game, a lot of the different types of media, but we'll talk specifically music. But yeah, it's like all these songs that all the reaction channels they upload. If they feature the song on there, they react to it. That video automatically, you cannot monetize or anything.
Yeah.
So all these folks, if they are making money through their channel, they're doing it another way, because you don't get anything from posting this content. It's more for just the enjoyment of the viewers. And
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it sucks that sometimes I'll see like the bigger, reaction channels out there. I'm like, well, how did they get the video on there? Like they blocked it for me,
yeah,
but they get like, wait a minute, what's
sometimes you make friends. I've actually encountered a handful of times where I've got a video that was blocked, and I reached out to the label specifically, sent them a message and just said, hey, I got this video, it says it's blocked, would you mind whitelisting me, my
yeah,
channel and whatnot. And more often than not, they will. Some I've had a couple encounters where it's taken a little more time, but most of the time it just, oh, of course, we'll send this to whoever needs to deal with this. They'll take care of it, and then all of a sudden that video can now be seen. But I mean, that takes an extra effort, and you also just don't know where that's going to go, and you don't know when
yeah,
it's going to be um cleared, because like for my channel, I've actually been missing some days lately. That has been so busy, but typically I try to do a video a day. So if that happens, I still have to record something else to try to put up that day while I wait for the other one to become cleared at some point.
yeah,
So yeah, it's difficult, but a lot of the bigger channels, I think they probably have their whole channel just cleared with these big labels to where they can do it. Again, they don't make money from it, but it
yeah,
doesn't get blocked. It's still copyright,
yeah.
but
And
it gets
most of the
viewed.
time, they'll allow you like to use it. They'll be like, the content owner allows you to use the audio, or not, but not the video. So sometimes I can put up a picture of the album, like Disturbed, for instance,
Oh yeah,
because they're Warner music. Like Warner is the big, I mean,
yeah,
that's the mecca almost now. And it's like, so they'll be like, no, you cannot put the video up. However, you can use the audio and just put a picture of the album up. So they'll allow that. So it's like, all right, like, so you have to, it's very odd, dude. It's like,
what's it
also,
matter?
it's like, this is just promotion for you. I don't understand. Like, it's
Yeah,
not hurting you in any way. Like, I don't
it's
know.
true. It's like free promotion pretty much,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I guarantee you, well, I guess I can't guarantee, but I imagine as a reaction channel, you're not going to be taking away a lot of views off of like the label's music video anyway. And even if you were, that's not how they're making their money anyhow. Like,
no,
so it's just exposing their music to people that may not otherwise be checking it
yes,
out. And then what? They go buy an album, they start supporting the band.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I just don't
Like we're
understand.
helping you. Like, what? I don't know. I don't
For
get it.
nothing.
All right, I understand. Whatever. What happened to the Fair Use Act? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess it only applies somewhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you just talking about like Disturbed, it made me realize I guess I'm also in a little bit better of a spot because of the genres that I cover, like the power metal, the symphonic
Yeah.
metal, stuff like that. It's a little more niche. I mean, you still have like Nuclear Blast and Napalm, so those are some of the big ones, but they're good about letting you use a video. So
Oh yeah.
I'm not really
Yeah.
encountering like a band like Disturbed or somebody like that who's with Warner Media or like, something crazy or maybe Sony Music or whatnot. It's
Yep.
even though some of these companies probably own a lot of these other ones, but it's different levels of, I don't know, security or
Oh yeah. Yeah. When you start getting into like the big bands like Disturbs and Godsmack. Godsmack's another one that you cannot use any video whatsoever. You
wow.
audio that you can, but not I don't know who they're through. That might be Universal,
Okay.
but which again is enormous.
Yeah.
But even Metallica, they let you use it, but they're
Yeah.
their own entity now.
Uh,
Their stuff is coming out under Blackened Music. They own the rights to all their shit now, all of it.
that's awesome.
But they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So they allow it. They still copyright it, but they allow you to play their videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Back when they were with Elektra, I don't know if you could have, but they're really cool about it. But some of these big bands, you start getting, they're weird about it. I don't know. And it's not the bands necessarily. It's the record
Yeah.
companies.
Sure.
I'm sure that bands were like, yeah, whatever. I know they don't care.
Yeah.
Probably. But,
Yeah, you never know, but they're probably more likely they'd be like, yeah, sure, share it,
yeah, but they don't own it.
No.
So it's like they don't have the rights to it. Which is weird, but they don't. It's
Yeah.
like no, Warner owns them.
It's out of their
Yeah.
hands. Yeah. You have to
Yeah.
become somebody like Metallica to have so much money where you can
Buy their
literally
catalog.
buy all your stuff.
Yeah.
Everything you created that's yours, basically, but it's not. And then so then you have to go buy it all or try to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to think about, but
Yeah.
if you have enough money, you can buy your catalog. Like that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just, I guess, try to be an independent artist these days. It's more difficult. And again, it's still very difficult, and you don't have the backing of a label, but it's at least more accessible now that you could get your stuff out there, without
Especially with social media.
yeah.
Like you can become your own entity almost.
Yeah. If you're good at
Like
social media. Yeah.
my buddies at Above Snakes that I've talked about on my channel multiple times. I went to the
Mhm.
show and stuff like that. They're doing everything on their own. Everything. They're
Wow.
making their videos. They got on tour. I just saw them on tour with Drowning Pool.
Wow.
Like they're not they're not on any label.
Yeah.
They're literally going out in an RV and buying their way onto these tours probably and playing in front of these audiences. They toured also with From Ashes to New. So the bigger, bands.
Yeah.
And they're doing it all themselves. All of it. It's all through social media. And they're almost like their own record company. And
Yeah.
so it's a
doing it
lot
all
easier
themselves.
these days to get your music out.
Yeah.
Especially
But, they're
Instagram.
producing their own album, like their own recordings and everything. So it's like,
Yep.
definitely money out of pocket for sure.
Yeah. That's the best way to go about it. Like use social media these days.
Yeah.
And then maybe a label will find you, but there's so many bands. I'm sure they get a million requests a day. Like, hey, check out my band. And they're like, yeah, all right. Let me check out the other 500,000,
Yeah.
singles we have. Like, I'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've actually spoken with a gentleman who's the head of a label, Wormhole Death Records.
Okay.
And, so he was telling me, the sheer amount of requests that they get, it's just absolutely nuts, so yeah, it's so easy to get lost. Granted, it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle just everywhere. So I guess it's best to explore your options. If you're down for a label, send out your stuff, but also hit the social media. Just throw your stuff everywhere. Everywhere. It's like just a bunch of spaghetti or pasta and just throw it against all the walls and see what sticks,
Yeah. Hopefully someone will be like, oh, a noodle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the taste of this noodle. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they start supporting the band.
exactly.
That's how it works. That's
Dude,
how
the
it works,
seasoning
though.
on this noodle is nice.
This
Yeah,
is nice. This is nice.
good.
But that's how it works, though. Like you'll find someone who likes it and like, oh, and if it's good, people will gravitate towards it. They'll, they know the difference,
It's true.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's rough. It's rough out there for bands. I don't envy new bands coming up and stuff like that because
No,
it's a struggle, dude.
so much work. Like even just being like a music reaction channel, it's also oversaturated, and it's just, but to such an infinitely smaller degree, obviously. But even then, it's still difficult to stand out above the crowd. It just, anything that anyone is trying to do these days, social media, trying to do anything, everyone is already doing it out there
Yeah.
somewhere. So it's like you constantly have to, like, I guess my attempt was to be somewhat niche, you know what I mean? Because there's not really a specific channel that does just power metal reactions, so it's like, well, let me try to carve out a niche, because
Yeah.
otherwise then I'd have to work even harder to try to be like just better than everybody. And how do you get better than people who have been doing this for years and years and years and have built up these followings? It's like you got to sometimes try to get creative, right?
Yeah, I mean that's that's the great thing about your channel is it's like, okay, like this is different. It's different than someone like me who just is like, well, I'm gonna react to this, this, and this, and there's all these different genres in here of metal, but you're killing it, bro. You're killing it.
So I
You're
don't know
killing
about
it.
that, but
Like you have that, that I feel like you have that corner now of the metal reaction community, and that's awesome. Like I once wanted to do like a thrash metal channel, just do thrash
oh
metal,
wow, that'd be
or
pretty
something
cool.
like that. But then I was like, well, there's all these other things I like, and it's like I'm weird about metal. Like some people will only like death metal. Anything else I can't listen to. I'm like, well, you're missing out on a lot of other things. So
Right.
people pigeonhole themselves and put themselves in this metal box. And
Yeah.
I can only listen to this, or this isn't heavy enough, or this is too heavy. And I get it. Like
Yeah.
I get it.
More
Some
power
stuff
to
is
them. Sure.
like, but I like everything. And I always tell everybody that I like everything from Cannibal Corpse to Godsmack and everything in between.
Yeah.
It's like I don't pigeonhole myself into something like where this is metal and that isn't metal. Like no,
Right.
it's all metal. It's just
Different
kind of,
shades.
yeah, it's subjective, So, but power metal, man, I have a history with power metal kind of because my buddies in
Oh boy.
Pyramids,
Okay.
Jonah,
Nice.
the keyboard player, I've known him since 2008, back
Oh,
when
awesome.
Matt Barlow sang on Immortal, the third record.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. He was only there for a short time
Yeah.
because, well, John Schaefer, but either way,
Yeah.
idiot. But yeah,
Moving
he was
right
not
along.
happy. He was not happy that he was not happy about him with Pyramids, and then he went back to Iced Earth, and all right. Either way,
Yeah, there's a whole
but so
story.
I've been,
Sure.
yeah, dude, John Schaefer's an asshole. He just is. He just is. It's well known. He's like Dave Mustaine kind of. But either way, so I've been following them since like 2008. Became really good friends with Jonah, and I used to run their Facebook page back in the day.
Oh wow.
I think almost MySpace days.
Jeez, that goes
Yeah,
back.
way back in the day, dude. I ran their Twitter for a while and stuff like that. But they're really cool. So I've seen them go through so many different
That's amazing.
entities.
Yeah.
But who they have now, which is his name is it looks like Terje, but it's Teria is how you pronounce it, Teria. Once they got him and Disciples of the Sun, that record when that came out, and we were getting because I was in Minnesota at the time, so he's recording everything there, sending it back to them in Denmark, and then we're starting to hear like, wow, they got something here because that guy has some pipes and he's amazing. I mean, we're like, oh, I see. And
Yeah.
once you heard the demos and stuff like that, it was. So I've been with them for a while. So they were probably more power metal, kind of morphed into like a power progressive
Yeah.
metal, I would
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
which a lot of power metal bands have.
Elements of that, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Especially
I
kind of
love
like
power
that
metal.
modern power metal sound. There's definite prog elements, within there.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of them have, kind of over the years. But I love power metal, man. I love Nightwish is the best. They're my favorite power metal band of all time, Nightwish.
Nice.
Or Camelot.
Oh yeah.
You know, Camelot and Nightwish, I think, are way up there for me. And Dragon Force also. I know people kind of mock Dragon Force now, but I think Dragon Force is fun. I like Dragon Force.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Especially
definitely
their
fun.
first three records are awesome.
No, it's cool that you mentioned like Nightwish and Camelot. That was some really early stuff that I had listened to. I mean, both of those bands have been around for quite some time, and also gone through some transitions and managed those transitions. Again, people could debate this for days and days, but at the end of the day, like, you can't argue like that both bands are still really good. Like, even after all of the transitions, you can say, oh, this era's better, that era's better, whatever. But again, at the end of the day, look at them, they're still chugging along and they're still churning out good music. So
Yeah. And it comes down to like the core, the people that write the songs.
yeah,
Like they're always, over the years, they've always had great songs no matter who is singing.
right.
I think that I can't remember what was her name on like that came after what's her name that left Nightwish?
Taria.
Yeah, after Taria left,
Yeah.
who was it that came in?
Annette Olsen.
Yeah, like that era for me is kind of like, that might have been. I mean, some of it's okay, but
It's funny because I kind of like Annette Olsen's solo like material a little bit better.
I agree.
Some vocalists, like, they're great, but
Yes,
you can't, not everyone can just sing anything, so there's
right.
always going to be things that suit a voice better than others. And so it's just because one vocalist maybe isn't the best for a particular band, by no means means that they're a bad vocalist. Because like I said, I kind of agree that era was, it just, I don't know, the pieces didn't quite fit, I think, just right. But when she went off and started doing her other stuff, it was really great. So it's just,
No, I agree with you. Like, but she got a lot of unnecessary like
yeah.
hate and stuff too. And I did feel bad for her, even though for me, I was kind of like, well, it's not my favorite, but don't be mean to her though. Why are we being mean like this?
And
Like people are like that
look
though.
at who she had to follow, dude. I can't,
Victoria,
I don't envy I don't care who you are. If you have to follow, again, I'm a bit of a Tadia fanboy. But so it's like, I don't care who you are. I mean, a voice like that, you have to follow that.
Floor's killing it.
She's doing a great job. Yeah, she is. But
She's a good mix of all of Nightwish.
yeah, she is very well rounded,
Yeah.
vocally for sure. But so another thing I want to talk about, because we were kind of talking about my channel being somewhat niche and whatnot. It's good to carve out a space, and so I wanted to turn that back to you, because you actually are doing somewhat of the same kind of thing, with being the heavy metal vegan, like bridging these two worlds that I think a lot of people may not associate with one another. I think a lot of people don't think of being vegan and heavy metal, those two worlds kind of clashing at all, so
Yeah.
how did you kind of decide to bring those two together? And when did you become vegan or get into veganism?
So I think both of them, like veganism and heavy metal, are kind of the same. Like in the mainstream of what people listen to or what people eat, vegan and metal is not normal for a lot of people. So they're almost both kind of like parallel in that way. So I think it fits. And again, it was like, oh, is there a heavy metal vegan out there? So I looked on Instagram and stuff. I've never seen one, so I guess.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, okay, that kind of has a ring to it, There's,
Yeah.
So, but so I was like, well, I can promote heavy metal through veganism or vice versa, because I love both. Um, but going vegan, I went vegan about 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago, and at the time, I kind of was like, I didn't really do it, I think, for the right reasons. I kind of was like, all right, we're going to do this, and kind of like, it's plant-based and all that. And it didn't really get me like vegan for the animals, which I really promote now heavily.
Mhm.
So I fell off the wagon. I never went back to meat, but I was vegetarian for a little while. And then I have no idea why it didn't click with me. I don't know, because I think it was more about the diet than it was about what it means.
Gotcha.
And so then I started feeling guilty about it, and I wasn't eating eggs or anything. I just wanted my cheese pizza because I was so selfish. I need my cheese pizza, and so that was the only thing. But it's like I started feeling like, this is not good. Like, you're a fucking hypocrite, like, oh, I'm not eating meat, but however, you're eating cheese. And then I don't know. One day I just kind of woke up and I was like, that's enough. This is ridiculous. You believe in this. What are you doing? So then, this would have been over 2 years ago now. In December is when I went like vegan, and I did it for the animals. And that's why I try to kind of steer away sometimes with the plant-based thing. Like, I get it, but if you make it a diet and it's just a plant-based thing and you're not doing it for a bigger cause, you will fall. You will, because it's a diet. Nobody
Yeah.
follows diets forever.
No,
Well, I mean,
diets are
most people don't.
fads. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get plant-based is it's popular right now, and it's it's very trendy and stuff like that. But if you go ethically vegan and you're doing it for the animals, and then everything else comes after that, you can't. I know there's people out there, there's big influencers that were apparently ethical vegans, and then they went carnivore, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't understand that, but all right. But I think it was because it's a trend. I think it was because they got caught up in like, ooh, look at these clicks and stuff by being plant-based and vegan, and because it's trendy. It's trendy for people because it is kind of niche. So when it's for the animals,
Mhm.
and then if it's good for your health after that, great. Good for the planet, awesome. But first, it's for the animals, and that's what matters most. And so once I finally was like, oh, and it clicked, and I don't know why it took as long as it did. It just did. But then once I came to that realization, that I never looked back, and then blending metal and vegan, I think it works. It just works because they're both kind of like, I don't know. And that's something too I do on my channel, which I always talk about. Like, I listen to this. Like, sometimes I'll play Cannibal Corpse or something super heavy, and then sometimes I'll like Papa Roach, like, hey man, that's not well, because I don't want people to be like, okay, it's too much. You're pushing me away with this heavy stuff.
Right.
So I'm trying to have fun, So I might not listen to Papa Roach all the time, which is I don't. But if it's like, okay, this is a kind of a fun song to put to a vegan something,
Yeah.
and it's still metal, and so it's still in that genre, or rock or whatever. And so I want that to bring people into veganism, to have fun with it. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. And especially getting people to try, and getting new vegans and stuff like that. I'm not a militant vegan, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people could, there has been, people are commenting and stuff like that about, oh, you're using plastic or whatever. I'm like, all right. But I'm just trying to promote products that everyone can get always and try.
Yeah.
And it's cruelty free. It's a step in the right direction. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like vegans will get harsh on people. They'll talk about, well, you shouldn't be Beyond Meat and Impossible and
Oh yeah.
things like that. You need to be, I'm like, all right, I'll do what I want thanks.
Yeah,
You know,
just a raw vegan diet, you know what I mean?
I get it, but it's like, you know,
But more power to
it's,
folks who can do that. Yeah, but like not everyone has to be that way, you know, like to your point, you know, if you're having these products that are still, you know, like saving the animals or, you know, non-meat or non-dairy products, if it's even if it's junk food,
yeah,
at least you know the main cause is not being affected, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. You lose track of that. It's not about what you eat. It's about what it's affecting. Like if you look up the definition of veganism, you know, it's like it doesn't say anything about you must eat this, 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 and this, or you're not a good vegan. Like, no, that's not how it works. You know, but it's yeah, people get weird about it and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, do what you gotta do. But I'm just trying to like make it so it makes it easy for someone to be like, well, I like this. Do they make that vegan? And can I try it? And so
Right.
that's what's like the vegan corn dogs and whatever, you know, all the stuff I post, it's like, see, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's gotta try it. And
Yeah,
so
just all about accessibility, like you said.
yes, and these days you can get anything. I mean, it's you can go to Walmart and find so many of those anything you want, vegan mac and cheese, pizza, doesn't matter what it is, you can find it and substitute it. So that's what the channel's all about. And I like using the metal thing because I love metal to, I don't know, make it more fun and different for people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it works. You know, it's really cool. It definitely stands out. It gives you, it's very intriguing, you know, I think for folks, you know, to even think of the name, the heavy metal vegan, like this metal dude who's like vegan. I thought metal
Yeah.
heads were supposed to just be like really hardcore. And it's like, well, you can still be like hardcore or, you know, whatever, or like
Yeah.
a tough person or, you know, whatever, and be vegan as well. You know, I
Yeah.
think there's a common misconception that you can't be, you're like just some a tree hugging hippie out there if you're vegan, which there are
Yeah.
some, there's plenty, but again, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you can have anyone from all walks of life that,
Yeah. People don't get that.
yeah,
They don't see that. They're just and there's so many people in the metal community that are like bands that are metal and vegan at the same time.
yeah,
Like wow. Like just look at Arch Enemy. Like
oh
there's
yeah,
so many different bands. Like there's a lot of vegans in metal that are in bands. You know, but yeah, people think it's weird or they kind of I think someone commented one time that there's no such thing as a heavy metal vegan. I think they on one of my posts, I'm like, sure there
there's
is.
no
You just
such
watched this
thing.
video. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like what, you're
Wait
like,
a minute.
do I not
I
exist?
yeah. Yeah, people they struggle with it because it's you're so ingrained in like I watch TV and there's 35 commercials about Burger King and all this stuff and it's like it's just normal. Nobody thinks to not do that. And when you don't do that, people are like, well, you're different and that's weird. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll be weird then. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So it sure sounds like you're enjoying your journey, you know, through YouTube and especially through Instagram. I mean, you're killing it over there on Instagram,
Oh, I appreciate it.
just with all your cool posts and you know all of that stuff and your follow. I just keep every time I look at your channel, I feel like you've added another like few thousand subscribers.
No,
I'm like this
I
dude is
wish.
just skyrocketing through the stratosphere on his Instagram. So it's super impressive. I know you put a lot of hard work into that, and you really just do all of this out of just the passion for metal and veganism.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I as much as I love metal, I'm more passionate about veganism, and I've been metal way longer than vegan. But that means more to me. If somebody never listened to heavy metal ever, but they went vegan because of something they found on my channel, then that's amazing. That means more to me than anything. I don't. It's like it's just music at the end of the day. I love metal to death, but I love being vegan more. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, it's so cool what you do out there, and again, I know you focus a lot on the Instagram, but are you going to keep those reactions coming? The metal reactions?
Brian, we were talking off air, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's, you know, people don't understand that Instagram, you can just sit there in your, you know, PJs and just be like, I'll take a picture of food and then put all the hashtags on it and put a reel up, and it takes 2 minutes. But when we're doing YouTube and you're turning on the lights and you're filming everything, that's easy. It takes 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. But then after that, you got to edit everything, and then you got to upload everything, and it takes way longer than just shooting a video.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just being like, all right, let's, you know, I want to do this, and you got to be in the mood. I don't want, you know, so
Right.
I need to do more. I need to do more for sure, and I want to grow the channel. It's just sometimes like Instagram's so much easier. It's like, all right, you know,
Yeah. It's tough
it's
because like
because
if
you
you're,
know,
yeah, it's really tough, and sometimes you're not in the mood, and you kind of have to get yourself pumped up a little bit because you're like, I don't want to just be sitting there like, all right, guys, so today I'm going to be reacting to this and that, and
yeah,
you know, it's like, all right, here we go. I'm going to do the reaction. I got to do it, you know, and then you just got to get yourself in that mind space,
yep,
and then like you said, once you film it, it'd be so nice if we had like just a crew. And it's
yeah,
like you sit there, they say 3, 2, 1, go. You do your reaction, and then they take over everything and upload. Oh, dude!
like,
And then
oh
you go
great,
out to your trailer and you know
yeah,
whatever for the day, and you know I guess
yeah,
that's what it's like to be a star, huh?
yeah. Well, some of these big influencers and stuff like that, yeah, they like shoot stuff, and then they have a producer
Yeah,
that goes, oh, I'm gonna whatever, you know. Like I watch like podcasts and stuff like that. Like one that I watch, I've been watching forever, is Fighter and the Kid, and so they'll shoot their little whatever. They do an interview and then they leave, and then the producer has to edit it, put it up, put the
yeah,
graphics on it, and they have that. Like that'd be great.
dude. I would sit here all day and just do
Yeah,
reactions like for 8 hours of
yeah,
just
be easy.
reactions, and
Yeah,
you know. And just and
yeah,
then everyone can go do everything else, you know,
yeah.
just
I'm just
just
gonna
be
go
the
home and just like,
personality.
yeah, I'll go eat lunch. You edit that and then send it to me when you're done. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be so
it'd
nice.
be amazing.
Yeah. But anywho, yeah. So hopefully, you know, we'll see some more reactions from you. But yeah,
We'll get
it's a
some.
lot of work. You know, folks don't realize you don't just sit there, take it, and it magically appears on YouTube. There's a lot of work involved just with doing a single reaction video. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, well, thank you
time
so much, man, for taking the time to chat with me. We covered a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of cool topics.
man.
And for everybody out there, in the description down below, I'm going to put a link to the Heavy Metal Vegans YouTube channel, his Instagram. Are there any other accounts you want me to put
I
down?
mean, I have a Twitter, but I never go on it.
Okay.
And I have a Facebook also that I never go on. Like everything just goes from Instagram to there, and I never check it. Like I'm like,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
I'm on Facebook too, I guess.
Yeah. All
But
right. So
Instagram and YouTube are the main ones for sure.
good stuff. All right,
Yeah.
sweet. I can even put a link in there for like where, because like I said, you get the coolest shirts, man. Like, oh, that's one thing I forgot to ask you about too. Is it seems like you're really into like horror films and horror.
Oh yeah. Love
Like,
horror.
that's another
Oh
thing that
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, look
dude.
at the wall behind you, like you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love horror movies, man. Like that's my main genre. Like that's what I like to watch. Like I like, you know, all the, you know, the Halloweens and the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on
Yeah.
Elm Street, all the Scream movies, you know, all that stuff is I watch every single one that comes out, even if it's terrible. I'm like, well, you know, but everyone, you know.
So
So
cool,
I
man.
love horror, and that's also a fun thing to kind of work into veganism, which
Yeah,
is the vegan vampire. That's what he does. All his
so
shirts are
cool.
horror based, you know, classic monsters or current stuff or whatever. And he does such a great job, man. He's
No,
such a
that's
good
so
dude.
cool. Just even that one there with Ghostface you're wearing now is so awesome, and I love that one with Bruce Campbell or
Yes.
Ash Williams.
Ash, yeah.
Speaking of which, Evil Dead Rise, dude. I
I
cannot
know.
wait.
I'm
I
excited. I saw
cannot
that trailer
wait
and I
for
was like,
that
what?
movie, dude.
I like the remake that came. I thought it was really
They did a
good. This
great
looks
job.
even better. It looks even better.
But
I'm
this
excited, dude.
looks so good. But any to not sit here and geek out, because I'm a big horror movie buff as well.
Oh,
I
I
love
love
that stuff. So not to sit here and just geek out about horror movies, but
it.
yeah, that's another thing, man. I mean, it's so cool. You're not only a heavy metal vegan, but you're like the horror movie vegan. Like you're all these like
The horror
intense,
movies.
like
Someone needs to use
like
that. That's another one. The horror movie vegan. That's a good.
there you
That's good.
go.
Someone needs to use that and give you the rights to it.
Yeah, right. No, I'm gonna keep it. You're gonna have to buy this from me, like
Yeah, I'll take 8%. Yeah, we'll work it out. Yeah, that's a good idea though.
No, yeah, awesome stuff. It's just so cool that you're bringing all these other things that you love, like, all together, combining them all into this one thing. And again, we were talking about just niche channels and whatnot. And you've kind of carved out your own niche as well, that I think a lot of people, like a great name, the heavy metal vegan, that really, I think, sticks with people, makes them curious about what's going on here.
Yeah.
And, it's just really, really neat, everything that you've created. So I've been enjoying just, following your Instagram and all that stuff. But yeah, so I'll put a link to Heavy Metal Vegan's YouTube channel and Instagram in the description down below. And again, man, one last massive thank you for taking the time to chat with me. This was so cool. Really
I
enjoyed
appreciate it,
talking
man.
with
Thank you for having me on. It was awesome.
dude.
It was
The
awesome.
pleasure is
Thank
all
you.
mine. And yeah, I wish you continued success in your channels and social media and all that stuff.
Thank
But
you, sir.
yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Do you have any questions for I guess myself or Heavy Metal Vegan? Use this comment section. What do you think of this chat? All that good stuff. Let's talk about it. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all next time. Ranger out.